Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and let's talk cheap multi-tools. Now, first of all, I'll say it right away, I am a multi-tool snob. I have no problem admitting to that, and probably a Leatherman fanboy. I do appreciate their tools. That's where I start if I'm looking for a new tool, and when they come out with something else that is something I'm curious about, unlike most other multi-tool brands like Gerber or SOG or something. But there are also some cheap multi-tools. Now remember this thing, this old Ozark Trail orange-handled knife with sort of the axis lock that broke the internet? A lot of people ordered multiples of these in order to get free shipping, 4 or 5 of them, whatever it took. What I did is I got some other Ozark Trail tools just to explore. I got a multi-tool, I got a shovel, folding shovel, I got a hatchet with a hickory wood handle just to try out, just to see, and my rule was every one of them had to be under $10. And I run in a world where I use, $200 Grand Force Brux tools or titanium Leatherman tools. I did have to even toss in a bunch of paracord in order to break the $40 for free shipping because I didn't know when I was going to be able to get into town. But anyway, this is the multi-tool I got. And I've played around with it. It's an interesting tool, but here's the philosophy. I have used multi-tools in kind of austere situations, repairing a car somewhere, like fixing an electrical problem, because that's all that was there. I didn't have my tools, which has been kind of a theme of this channel, is having small kits and being prepared. And so I had to borrow something, so they dug through their junk drawer, whoever I was helping, or, their car console or something, or their little go bag they bought at Walmart, and they found a multi-tool, and I was able to do the job. So what I realized is the quality difference, or maybe the metallurgy difference between a sub $10 tool and a near $200 tool is in maybe tens of percent. This might be a 75%, calling this a 100%. And what I mean by that percent is, of all of the jobs I'm going to encounter over, say the lifespan of a tool, I'm going to say 1 decade. I think that's reasonable. I mean, Leatherman, when they originally came out with their Leatherman tools, they gave them a 25-year warranty, and I think they were just thinking that was so far in the future it wasn't even going to be an issue. We have since surpassed the 25-year warranty. They just go ahead and warranty everything now, but it does say 25 years. That's a long time. That's a shelf life of a Mountain House freeze-dried can or pouch of food. It's almost like that's next generation's problem. But anyway, so I came up with some ideas about how to assess a multi-tool. And the reason is, this thing wasn't bad. This is what I have. A multi-tool, first of all, has all kinds of inherent weaknesses. It's got really bad pivots. It's a pair of pliers that fold. Usually it's inexpensive materials and steel. This one's got kind of this rubber overmold on these liners here. It never feels that great in the hand, although, that is one of the things I like about the way they've contoured this titanium one. That's why it's always been one of my favorites. Basically they're going after all kinds of minute upgrades, using magnets to secure the thing. Being able to flip it open one hand, having some interchangeable parts, using some really high-end steel. So if I go to this one and pop open the blade, you can see I've got an S30V steel here versus who knows what. You'd be lucky to get even 440 stainless. But here's what I also discovered. I saw this. This was the only one available. All the rest were sold out. Walmart, or Ozark Trail, also had this one. And I thought, that looks a lot beefier. It looks like they took a lot more time. Doesn't have some of the fanciness of this, but it looks more functional. But I couldn't get a hold of one off Walmart, so where did I go? I went to a pawn shop. Here it is. Look at that. $10. You know how much it cost me? Nothing. They threw it in because they just are tired of having all of these Ozark Trail tools. It's got a much bigger knife and a highly questionable lock. but I can put an edge on this thing and make it usable in emergencies. It's got a handful of other tools, various things. Serrated blade, large saw. If you look at the saw that comes on this thing, wherever that thing is, right here, much smaller. Tiny saw. I found some of the really finer tooth saws to be great for plastic work and, you know, some little bit of working on kind of fitting wood, but a larger saw, still fairly thin. But if you really need it in an emergency, I honestly don't have any complaints about this. So while some people spend an enormous amount, guilty as charged, on particular high-end multi-tools, if you're not planning on using it much, or ever even, in other words, I plan on using these, I intend to use them, I carry them to use them, but if you just want a backup tool, I honestly can't say there is anything wrong with going with something like this. I ditched this pocket clip. It does hurt when you're trying to hold it. I mean, it tells me bad design, but I can take that off. They didn't even bother putting one of them on here. But hey, it gets worse. Now, I've used really cheap multi-tools, so I came up with a couple of things. One, if you're in a pawn shop or something and you see a multi-tool and you're wondering, would that be good enough? Well, get a hold of it and squeeze it as hard as you can. You know, see if anything feels like it's going to give. You can put something in here. I'll use this bit at this point, get some leverage, and try to twist. This one is starting to fail here. It's not going to hold up, but there are ways you can kind of test this. I think of it as like a nylon nut test. Can I easily turn a nylon nut? Because I can't with my fingers. I mean a nylon, kind of a threaded nut. However, when it comes to this guy here, I'll go ahead and grab my bit again, right up at the front. That is way stronger. It's still going off a little bit, but you can see I'm really pulling hard on that compared to this junky one. I can't even, can you read that? Somebody might recognize the brand. I don't know, like Popular Mechanics. This one kicks off to the edge quite easily. Looks like someone was using it for something maybe questionable. But look how beat up this thing is, and it still does work. You know, it's still got, most people don't use it much for the multi-tools and open bottles, etc. But lastly, I'll end with this. It's also drifting down here. This is the Icon knife, also an internet breaker. I bought this one new. Look at this. Here is another. This was in a pawn shop. How much? $10. I got it for $7. Why? Because it says Icon on it, and nobody wants Icon used, apparently. Or you'd have to know about this, and you might not be in the pawn shop. Is it perfect? Well, it's interesting. I tried to clean it up, and I cannot get these stains off the blade. Those seem to be permanent, which is kind of interesting. I mean, D2 is not really a stainless steel. It's a tool steel, so you do expect that over time you're going to get staining. I mean, even stainless steel is not rustless steel, but the lockup seems fine. The tip is certainly bent, so it has been dropped. You see how that? I was going to straighten it out after I made a video with this thing. But $7. So if you want to think about some of these cheap things holding their value, freebie here just to get it out of the store, brand new. I mean, this was under $10, so there's that. A lot of these, I think I found this one. It's a cheap multi-tool is probably 75% effective. But if you prefer, you know, a nice smooth operation, high-end steel, a good warranty, just little tiny details all throughout, then you get the good stuff. If you just want to carry the thing in an emergency kit, you know, or in your vehicle, your bug out bag, whatever, you're probably going to be able to do almost everything you can with a cheap one, a good cheap one. They're really bad cheap ones. That's why start playing around. Grab the blade, shake it, see about the locking mechanism. But overall, I love these. I'm never going to say don't get one, but I do think a $10 or even a free multi-tool, you're most of the way there already. So disagree if you don't like that, but overall, it's already got so many inherent weaknesses that it's hard to make it up with just sheer quality. I definitely choose this Leatherman over this Ozark Trail, but when push comes to shove, this is probably going to get the job done. And with that, dock out.